Welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at the MEMT T6. This one came from the Friendly Audio store on AliExpress. If you look today, it's about $24, and thank you guys for sending this one out to me. So this is the MEMT T6, the strawberry. If you look really closely, it looks very much like a strawberry, and the form factor is not quite earbud, straight earbud. It's got this maybe AirPod-like shell shape, dual ports. Again, very nice sleeve cable, leather wrap for cable, keep it tidy, and a nice metal right angle 3.5 millimeter connector. So again, MEMT, my earphone, my time, for those who are keeping score. And so that's what it looks like. Again, very nice package, as well as the R7, which was also metal shells, sleeve cable, nice case. So again, MEMT is doing quite a good job on these budget earbuds, yet giving you a nice set of accessories and build quality as well. So kudos to you guys on that. So the MEMT T6, the strawberry. So this one reminds me of another 6, the Senford DT6, which had a very divisive quality to it, where some people really liked it and some people really hated it. And it really came down to sort of the timbre and naturalness of instruments. When those kind of go off kilter, people tend to complain a lot. But if you're listening to electronic music, it tends to sound fine. And this one, the T6, has a similar, it'll work for certain music genres and certain it will not. So my first impression of it, because I had been listening to acoustic pop and EDM pop, or EDM acoustic as well, these are all covers, and it's typically a big, close, intimate vocal and maybe a piano accompaniment or maybe a guitar. Quite simple, quiet, detailed recordings, and those pair very well with this T6. Other genres are not going to pair so well, and we'll kind of get into that as well. But sort of right off the bat, the soundstage on this is oddly big and wide and tall and deep. And I don't know if it's because of this shell, this form factor, perhaps this openness of soundstage lends itself to the shell. I'm not exactly sure why the soundstage sounds as good as it does, but it's just big and open, but then the vocal image itself fills that whole stage, and your instruments get pushed off to the side a little bit. And sort of, as I said, since they don't sound overly natural, the more they are off to the side, the more that you sort of not pay attention to them, the better. And so I think this vocal sounds, or this soundstage with this big vocal image, does really well on this one, because it camouflages some other problems. So as I said, the vocals on this, my preference were these big, intimate, transparent, detailed, rich vocals that you find in sort of acoustic, they're not acoustic covers, but there's a lot of acoustic music that is kind of simple and intimately recorded, and that sort of, those vocals sound very well on here, especially the male vocals. And just an example, Save Tonight by Tom Spate, you'll notice that his vocals are deep and rich and forward and very detailed, and then you'll hear her vocals a little later, and not quite the same level of richness and detail, and they're back a little bit into the soundstage. So I do think it's sort of a hint that the further you go up in range, things kind of get a little wonky, but male vocals sound really good. So third thing, this isn't MEMT neutral bright like the R1 or even the R7. This is very much a bassy, rich, lower focused earbud, as opposed to a more mid-upper focus. I mean, in fact, it's the opposite problem. It's so focused on the mids and lowers that the treble is not nearly at a level where it should be, and that's the gist of the whole problem. So this one has a really nice tight bass, and even with vocal EDM, if we talk about the Save Tonight, the version by Robin Schultz, which is in kind of a upper, dancier version of Thomas Spade's version. I'm pretty sure Robin Schultz did it first. I almost guarantee Robin Schultz did it first. But his is the dance version. And so the other thing you notice is that the vocals aren't nearly as close as an intimate. You're missing all that upper end energy and fun. So it's sort of passable, but you're starting to see cracks of where this one doesn't really fit all genres. And any genre that really depends on that upper fun, that upper energy, is gonna fall a bit flat because it rolls off quite quick. So as I said, this one would be better V-shaped with much more treble. It's just not at the level where it should be, and the balance is just off. And if they had just added just a little bit more treble so strings can soar, would have been really, really nice. But as it is now, you'll hear the strings very much struggle to get to a level where it sounds right, and they don't quite make it. And then if you have horns or some other lower end sound at the same time, it overtakes the strings and the balance just goes all off. So yeah, that's sort of a bit of the DT6 problem where that balance is just not right, and some people immediately will complain about it and just can't take it because it's quite far off. And then to further those problems, some instruments will just sound off because you're missing that upper end. And where I really notice it were the vocals. Madonna's Power of Goodbye, like the whole upper end of her voice is missing. It's sort of blunted, rounded off, and similar to Madonna, just not quite right. It's just a bit off. And so now you're kind of squarely in DT6 territory where some people will just immediately pick up on things are just not off and throw this one in the bin. So last thing to know about this one, it's got to be, you have to burn it in for quite a bit, and you've got to give it a little power. Otherwise, the bass is too loose and too boomy. But let it play for a few hours, and it tightens up quite a bit, and then give it some power, and it tightens up. And you end up with this really nice, fine low end, which is going to be kind of in that Vito territory of a bassy, very likable sound. And it's just a shame that they didn't quite have a treble that matched that fine lower end to really balance it out and bring things into balance. But it is what it is. And so that's about it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time.